couple of years ago, I reviewed the Huawei MateBook X Pro, one of my favorite laptops of all time. That's because it brought a lot of unique features to the table at the time. It had a 3:2 aspect ratio in terms of that gorgeous display. It had 3000 by 2000 resolution. It was a touch display that was absolutely gorgeous. All metal design. It had a very MacBook-like look to it. It had a very unique webcam in the most unfortunate placement. I just took delivery of the 2021 version. That's right, the MateBook X Pro is here in the studio. I got it in the emerald green, and when I tell you it's gorgeous, it is. We're gonna check it out and look at exactly what you're gonna get with this latest iteration. Hey everybody, it's Andrew, and this is the Huawei MateBook X Pro 2021. Coming up.
Now, as we take a look at the specs, in the interest of transparency and full disclosure, I'm not being paid by Huawei, I'm not being sponsored by Huawei. All the opinions you're about to hear are my own. Huawei is not getting copy approval. They're seeing this video for the first time, just like you. Now, this review unit was provided by Huawei, and once this review is done, I'll be sending it back. It's available in China and in Europe. Pricing will start anywhere between $13.99 and $14.99 euros, and supposedly it will be coming to the United States as Amazon is going to be carrying it. That's what I'm hearing, and I don't have any specific date as of yet, but if I do hear anything, I will let everybody know as soon as I hear something. Now, for those that can't wait, you can get it on eBay, although I'm not the biggest fan of eBay importing it that way. Maybe one option, although it is a little bit inflated, the price, as you can see, starting at $16.95. Again, just be aware, these are some of the ways you can bring it to the United States right now. And with the specs, availability, and pricing out of the way, let's find out what you get inside the box. Let's open it up. Now, I have to say packaging is very high-end, very premium. That's just like we saw in the previous versions that I did review of this laptop. No exception here. Opening the lid, you're greeted by the unit itself. We'll get to that in just a little bit. Now, it has a 65-watt USB-C power adapter. It's the European version as I expected, and it also comes with the USB-C cable. Now, this is a very thin and light laptop coming in at 1.33 kilograms or 2.93 pounds. It's also a beautiful looking laptop. You can get it in space gray or this beautiful emerald green finish. It is simply stunning in my opinion. Something a little bit different. We don't normally see this in a laptop. And the build construction is first rate with its all metal design. Okay, let's check out the port selection. We'll start off on the left side where you get a 3.5mm audio combo jack. You get two Thunderbolt 4 ports that do data, charge, display out. You can do multiple 4K monitors or one 8K monitor via those Thunderbolt 4 ports. Moving over to the right side is a USB-A port. And I'm happy to see a USB-A port, something you don't get on a MacBook Pro. Notably missing, no microSD card slot, no Ethernet port, and no HDMI port. Now, for those wondering, you can open the lid with one finger. Now, once you do, you have that fingerprint scanner, and what I love about it is it keeps your fingerprint scanned into its memory. That means all you need to do is when you press the button to turn it on, it remembers your fingerprint, and it logs you in automatically, speeding up the process. Very convenient, and I like this feature. All right, let's talk about the keyboard, and I gotta say I really do like it, although it is a bit shallow in terms of key travel, but it does have good tactile feedback, and I didn't feel like my fingers were bottoming out. Comfortable to type on for extended periods of time. Now, Huawei sent me the British keyboard layout, which is a little bit unusual as I'm used to a US keyboard layout, but nonetheless, you do get used to it very quickly, so not an issue as far as I'm concerned. And it does have a multi-stage backlight, allowing you to get work done in a dark room or a dimly lit environment. Worked well. And borrowing a page from the MacBook, it has a very spacious touchpad. And the touchpad is a precision touchpad, very responsive, two-finger scrolling was buttery smooth, and all the gestures work as you'd expect. Now, taking a look at the internals, you can see that this has dual fans for cooling. It also has a 56 watt-hour battery. We'll get into battery life and charging times a little bit later in this video. But as far as what's user upgradable, the only thing that is user upgradable is the SSD, and the one that they give you gives you some excellent reads and writes, as you can see here. Now, my review unit comes with 16 gigabytes of LPDDR4X RAM, but unfortunately that RAM is soldered into the motherboard. You cannot upgrade it yourself. Not a surprise considering how thin and light this laptop is. Now this has Wi-Fi 6 along with Bluetooth 5.1. Both are working well. No complaints on that front. Now, unfortunately, the Wi-Fi card is soldered into the motherboard. You won't be able to upgrade it down the road. Okay, let's talk about the display, and what we're looking at here is a 13.9-inch display with a resolution of 3000 by 2000. That means it's a 3:2 aspect ratio, and the benefit of a 3:2 aspect ratio, as I've mentioned in the past, is the fact that you'll do less scrolling when it comes to web browsing. It'll be more optimized for productivity. Using spreadsheets on this or Microsoft Office documents will really be optimized for this. Now, as far as consuming media, watching Netflix, Amazon, and YouTube is pretty nice on this, although you will notice some black bars on the top and the bottom when you're consuming media. Now, as far as the display itself is concerned, it's actually really gorgeous with some really deep blacks, good white points, excellent contrast, and it has a low Delta E score of 1.93, making it a pretty color accurate display. It also covers the color gamut really well, 95% sRGB, 71% Adobe RGB, 71% of the DCI P3 wide color gamut, and 65% NTSC, making this a really good choice for content creators who do Lightroom, Photoshop, and of course, video editing. Now, for those wondering, I didn't notice any PWM on this, so for those that are sensitive to PWM, it's not here, and that's always good. Now, one thing you will notice is that it is a pretty glossy display. That means you'll notice reflections and glare in direct sunlight, so that's something to keep in mind. You can actually see the reflections here pretty well. Now, Huawei claims this display will get up to 450 nits in terms of brightness, which is very bright. I actually measured 475 nits, even better. Now, I actually really prefer a really bright display, and this doesn't disappoint, that's for sure. Now, this is also a touchscreen display, and I found that it was very responsive. Navigating with your finger wasn't a problem on this touchscreen. Nice convenience factor as well. And I really like the thin bezels, giving it a really modern look. It has a 91% screen to body ratio, and that I really do like. And one of the reasons the bezels are so thin, there's no webcam on that top bezel like you'd normally find in most laptops. Unfortunately, though, the placement of the webcam leaves much to be desired. So as you can see, this nose cam, webcam or chin cam, whatever you want to call it, not a good placement, 720p, 30 frames per second. I want to know what you think. Let me know in the comment section below. We saw this on the original version of this. We continue to see it on this. It's not really a good placement, obviously, for doing Zoom or Skype. You'll have to lift it up on something, raise the level, but you really want to get it eye level, and that's what I'm holding it right now. But I'm curious to know what you think. Let me know in the comments section below. Just not a good placement, but the benefit of it, I guess, is you can hide it very easily, although most modern laptops have a kill switch now. You can see them on HP, Lenovo does it, and so do the others. But I'm curious to know what you think. Let me know in the comments section below. The MateBook X Pro is running the 11th gen processor from Intel. It's the Core i7-1165G7. We've seen this processor before with the integrated Iris Xe graphics. No longer do you get a discrete GPU like you used to get in the old version of this or the previous models of this. The Xe graphics, though, I have to say, are a really nice improvement over any other integrated solution I've seen so far. Microsoft Office, email, web browsing, consuming media, watching Netflix, Amazon, and YouTube were all a pleasure on this device. And when it comes to gaming, you can definitely get playable frame rates if you lower the settings. I found 1080p low to be sort of a sweet spot where you get playable frame rates with popular titles such as GTA 5, The Witcher 3, Dota 2 Reborn, and others. Now, one thing I did notice, others in this category had a little bit better playable frame rates than the MateBook X Pro, and that might have to be to the thermal solution they employed here. Now, the M1 chip you find in the new MacBook Air, MacBook Pro actually did better on the synthetic benchmarks such as the Geekbench 5 single-core and multi-core scores. Not a big surprise, as we've seen really impressive numbers out of those benchmarks from the M1 Max. Now, if you take a look at the internals of the 2018 version of the MateBook X Pro, you'll notice that it has a single fan for cooling. Looking at the 2021 version, you'll see that it has two fans for cooling, and that is pretty good. And speaking of those fans, when it comes to fan noise, it actually was running pretty quiet even under heavy load, and that was pretty impressive. And that's good because you don't want to contend with loud fans when you're doing work. But when I ran my Prime 95 stress test, I would notice that the CPU would turbo boost to about 2.6 gigahertz with a core temperature of 89 degrees Celsius, and that would last for a few seconds, and then it would drop down to 1.8 gigahertz to maintain a cooler temperature of 68 degrees Celsius. Now, I didn't find that the surface temperatures would get really hot, although I noticed by the keyboard would get the hottest when I would put it under heavy load. But overall, maintained pretty good surface temperatures. Okay, let's talk about the battery life, and the MateBook X Pro 2021 sports a 56 watt-hour battery, a pretty decent size for a thin and light laptop, and it did 10 hours and 31 minutes on my continuous web surfing test over Wi-Fi at 150 nits. Real-world usage, you're looking at anywhere from 8 to 10 hours depending on what you're doing, and that translates into all-day battery life, and that's something we like to see. So battery life has been good. Now, if you do need to plug in, they do supply you with a 65 watt power adapter, and it takes about 90 minutes for a full charge, and that's pretty good. The Huawei MateBook X Pro sports quad speakers. Now, the original version that I took a look at back in 2018 really had good speakers on that, really full, rich sound, rivaling that of the MacBook at the time, and one of the best Windows laptops when it comes to audio at that time. Now, it has held up really well this time around. Really good speakers, quad speaker system once again, full, rich sound, good volume, good mids, and decent bass. And it's safe to say you won't be disappointed with those quad speakers. Okay, let's bring it all home. What do I think about the Huawei MateBook X Pro here for 2021? I absolutely love it, especially that stunning emerald green finish. It looks simply elegant and it looks really sleek. I like the way this laptop comes together with its premium materials, with its unibody metal design. Now, I like the 3:2 aspect ratio of that display. It's a touch display, very responsive and very bright. It also has really good spacious touchpad, and it also has a very nice keyboard, although a bit on the shallow side. I like the dual Thunderbolt 4 ports that you get on this, although you don't get a micro SD card slot, which would have been nice. Now, you do get some really nice long battery life, and you'll also get some really good thermals. It didn't get too hot, didn't overheat, but that came at the cost of the performance, which was a little bit less than what we see normally from an 11th gen Core i7. But there are no real deal breakers here, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to give this a score of 93%, making the MateBook X Pro definitely worth your money.
So what do you think about the Huawei MateBook X Pro? Gorgeous emerald green finish. Really good stuff with that 11th gen processor under the hood, although not the fastest in the category, but definitely a looker nonetheless. Now, I took it out of the studio, gave it some time outside, and people were coming up to me and saying, "What is that laptop? Where did you get that color?" Everybody's going crazy for that emerald green. It does look pretty stunning. Now, I'm curious to know what you think. Let me know in the comment section below. A couple of things that haven't changed, of course, is that unfortunate placement of the webcam. And the webcam is very important nowadays while we're working from home during the pandemic. So a premium has been put on the camera. Now, the camera itself is good. It's just not in the right placement. It's up your nose. It's a nostril cam. And I was hoping they would have changed that this time around. That's not the case, but really good battery life, really nice performance nonetheless, really good stuff out of that integrated Iris Xe graphics. You no longer get that dedicated GPU like you got before, but that integrated Xe graphics more than make up for it, especially with the performance we've been seeing out of those Xe graphics. But I'm curious to know what you think. Let me know in the comments section below. As far as availability is concerned, whether or not you can get in the United States, rumor is that it will be coming to Amazon here in the United States. I don't have any further information as of yet, but if I do find out, I will certainly let everybody know where to buy it. As far as Europe and everybody else, you can get it there. Link will be in the description below. So please hit the like button, please subscribe, please share this video. Don't forget to leave a comment in the comment section below. Let me know how I'm doing. Let me know if there's a device or something out there you think I should review. I'll do my best to try to make that happen. Don't forget to check me out on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and of course, my website, amdtechreviews.com. So until next time, this is Andrew from AMD Tech. See ya.